Hey, world. Um, Welcome to the KEW Exchange, where knowledge through experience transforms into wisdom. Today's guest is my friend Future Cain, who I love and adore. She's amazing in every way. We're going to talk about the cure. Well, I definitely need to work on titles and illustrating it better grammatically. The cure fear through self love. Um, so it's that's a loaded statement, right? Because fear is drives us so much,
Mhm.
right? Fear is such a driving force in everything that we do. And talking about curing fear it's almost as big as talking about curing cancer, right? I think if you cure fear, then cancer might disappear, right? Because then you won't be driving yourself crazy over things, or at least me. I mean, I'm an overthinker, so any reason I can drive myself nuts, I will. Um, you know, it's such fear and self love. Self love's a whole new concept. I had no clue what that meant up until a year ago. Like it made no sense to me. Um, it wasn't until September that I said I love you. I love myself, right? Like, and I didn't say I'm in love with myself until pretty close to December. So this is all a new experience for me. This whole self love thing. Um, so give me a little bit. You're muted, by the way, Future. Just so you know. Okay. Give me a little bit of insight behind that loaded statement.
Well, I think as people, we've been tricked in society to believe what makes us happy. And we're chasing all the right. You're shaking your head because we've been tricked to believe it's all these things outside of us, or all these things out there will give me happiness and joy. And the reality is that we then are so worried about chasing those things, those items, those places, those people, those spaces, those faces, that then essentially we forget the one person who matters in all of this, which is us. And we forget to look internally to provide ourselves with love, to do what our batteries on our phones need to do is recharge in order to keep going and sustaining and functioning at the normal level. We forget to update ourselves just as our phones do. We forget to sit and pause and savor the beautiful moments. And I've noticed, and I've been there and I've lived through it, that I was functioning in worrying about the past or trying to chase the future. And that's why I tell people to sit with themselves, because while you do all that, you forget about the present. I just missed it. That moment you and I just had is gone. We could never get it back. And if you're not visualizing, and if you're not savoring, and if you're not being present, then essentially you will never be able to remember that beautiful moment or those beautiful moments that you have with people and yourself.
Hey, Marcello. So it's funny, right? We were just talking about Marcello, actually. Um, but um, you know, I never understood what that meant. Sit in the present, right? I
Mhm.
never understood that at all. Um, I was so consumed in the negativity from the past,
Yep.
and I was so busy planning the future
Yes.
that I never even noticed the present. Like
Hmm.
I didn't live at all.
Correct.
And I always chased the void fillers, the escapism, the no matter what it was, right? Like I talk about all the different icks that I have: workaholic, porn addict, drug addict,
Hmm.
alcoholic, sex addict, strip club addict, any type of attention, right? Like
Hmm.
girlfriend addict. I mean, I went from person to person trying to fill every void because at the end of the day, I was empty, and I really thought that somehow it was going to magically fill me,
Hmm.
um, magically fix me without having to fill myself. And one thing that I've learned over this last year, um, I'll actually have my kids for a year and 3 days when I go to court next in 2 weeks from today, for the final hearing. Um, I've learned so much, right? Like it has been such an amazing process,
Hmm.
no matter how torturous it's been at
Yep.
times. And that depression that I sunk into in the very beginning, right, really crushed me in every way humanly
Yep.
possible. And I really just was like, I was, I was an amoeba pancake on the floor, right? Like that's how I can describe how I felt. Like I just was lost and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I had a death wish for years and it never worked. So I assumed I wasn't going to try this time either because it just doesn't work anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, all the ODs, all the drownings, the house fires, everything that I've been through, I tried to die. It just didn't work no matter what I did. So I gave up trying to die and then I just struggled to live. And now what I'm learning is to just allow and live.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hell of a process. It's not easy.
No.
The world conditions us to believe that we need to plan for 40 years from now. We need to
Yes.
plan that everything's going to magically work out for us, right? At 65 or 67 or 82, whenever Social Security kicks in for my age, our age, right? Because I think we're pretty close. Like I'm 41, so I'll be 42 in a few weeks. I think you're like 20 years younger than me. But anyway,
I'm older. I'm older.
really? But I look okay. So I look 20 years older, right? Like I'm rocking the Lex Luthor look. It's like I'm thinking like we really are trained to think about the future,
Yes.
and we're trained to be miserable over the past,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're never taught anywhere how to live in the present.
Correct.
And I think when I started this journey, like when we were talking a lot, right, which was in the very beginning of my journey,
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. It didn't make sense to me. And I'm still not great at it, but I'm better than I was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I still plan for the future, but I'm not consumed by it.
Right.
Uh, and when something comes up from the past, I deal with it. Thank you, Brene Brown. Um, and like seriously, I mean, like, Annie introducing me to Brene Brown was like saving my life because it changed everything, right? Like I was finally able to start letting go of that shit. And I'm still letting go of stuff. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still listening to another one of her books. And now I'm onto a different book, another book, and another book. Like the consumption of trying to get better and self-improvement, I think that's part of self-love.
Yes.
Like I don't know how to describe self-love. I have no clue. It's not what I thought it was 10 years ago, that's for sure. But um, I don't know how to describe it. So how do you describe self-love? I'm just curious. Because I'm going to probably steal your definition at some point in the future.
Okay. So can I rewind and just touch base on a couple of things that you just said?
Well, yeah, I just rambled, so go for it. Like that
Okay.
was
Okay. The first thing I want to talk about, Mike, is all the things that you were doing, right? The pornography, the drinking, the drugs, all of those could be categorized as you were essentially numbing. Okay. And there's lots of people who I truly believe, I hope that this will change in the future, but I truly believe that there are a lot of people that are living on earth right now who will leave this earth never knowing who they were because they didn't take the time to, one, provide themselves with self-love, and they didn't take the time to get to actually know who they were. And we're so busy numbing. I'll give you some stats to show that you are not, I don't want to say the majority, but there's a lot of other people like you. The United States is number one, or we like to claim we're number one in a lot of things. And one of the things we are actually number one in is we have the highest anxiety and depression rates. And those anxiety and depression rates just keep skyrocketing. So you talked about depression. I've been there at my lowest points too. Thankfully, I've had my husband to help me survive through that. And then also anxiety.
Can I borrow your husband next time? Just ask. I mean, I don't know. Like, whatever works.
I need my husband, so I don't know if I can share him with you, Mike.
We'll have to work on it. I don't know. Anyway.
So I think that's important. Now, here's the other layer that I want to educate people on is in this time of COVID, anxiety and depression has gone up. Mental health calls and violence has also gone up in addition to alcohol sales. So
Yes.
There are a lot of people who, whatever your choice of numbing is, whether that's been watching Netflix, whether it's scrolling on social media, whether it's exercising, whether it's eating, whether it's drinking, there's a lot of people who are choosing to numb. And you know me, that I'm famous for trying to put out a quote each week. I started that back in March, and I still continue to try to do that. And the one quote, and I might be misquoting myself, but people could go and look. But essentially, the one quote that I say is, "We are Houdinis of sitting with our emotions," because people don't want to sit through the pain and the hurt and all the feelings that people would categorize as negative feelings, which essentially they're not. Every feeling is a friend and could bring us on a new journey and a new awakening. But people don't look at it like that because it's too painful for them to actually just sit there and stay within themselves.
Something tells me on the replay, I'm going to get a lot of offers of husbands to be sent to me. I just have a feeling, right? Like the more I think about it, right? I've been sober almost 15 years. June will be 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's clean, well, sober. Let's not say
Mm-hmm.
clean because I didn't do the emotional work. I didn't do any
Mm-hmm.
of it,
Right.
right? I got rid of the surface crap, and that's great. I made up a bond with my higher power, and I'm tremendously spiritual, and that's awesome too.
Yep.
But I didn't get rid of the escapism, the entertainment,
Correct.
right? Like I hid behind sports, being a sports fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't drink, I didn't do a drug, but if there was a game to go watch instead of dealing with myself, I did
Right.
it. I mean, it could have been Pee Wee League field lacrosse, and I would have gone and field hockey, and I would have went
Right.
anything to myself. It didn't matter what it was.
Correct.
Not that I'm recommending go hanging out at a kid's field and just play all day. Not either, unless your kids are on the field. But like it just like I'm thinking about it, and it's so tragic. And the meds, right? Like this is my personal opinion, so I'm not speaking for you or
Mm-hmm.
anyone else on this platform or anyone else's existence in the planet.
Okay.
I swear to God, the meds make it all worse. They make it so much worse. Every single life science med makes it worse. I truly believe that because they don't understand brain chemicals enough to even understand what they're trying to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And like when we were talking in the beginning, and that was like
Mm-hmm.
started out of the depression because I started the round tables and
Yep.
found
I
passion
remember that.
and started moving into something that was moving me into a positive way to start expressing myself again. And like for me, I think there's healthier ways to balance ourselves.
I agree.
Now, granted, there is serious chemical imbalances,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure I was married to one of them. Or still quasi married because it's not over yet. But papers are done. And like I'm definitely married to one, but I still think that there's a better way to deal with it. I think that there's healthier alternatives,
Mm-hmm.
natural treatments that could be more of a benefit. Because what I've noticed is I've had lots of friends since I've started bouncing out of my depression around May, right before George Floyd. For some reason, I
Mm-hmm.
started getting out of my depression. Um, that they're on meds, and their
Mm-hmm.
doctor's answer is, "We'll take more."
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's the answer. Because what I've noticed is people that are bipolar 2 or people that are, slightly bipolar, whatever you want to call it, diagnosed as, because it doesn't define them, but they're diagnosed as, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not labeling or any of that. But what I've noticed is it starts putting them into more mania, and it starts putting them into a different category.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know where I went with all this and how this has to do with curing fear, but I don't even know what I just did, but I just went somewhere with all this. Um, like I'm just thinking, like you've put so much time and energy into studying this and understanding this and
Mm-hmm.
understanding people, which is more important than
Right.
understanding the drugs, understanding all that crap. Escapism is escapism,
Right.
and I was the king of it forever.
Mm-hmm.
So God said, "I'm going to trap you in somewhere for 12 months with nobody around. You can't friggin' escape anymore." Like
Yeah.
there is more escaping, right? Like it's first of all, it's a dry county. I don't think they have a strip club here unless you're seeing cousins. But like, I mean, sorry, I said that out loud. That was live, wasn't it? But like, I mean, it's just God said you're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Fix yourself. Like this is your time to fix yourself. You don't have a choice. No one's going to come see you for 10 or 11 months. Nobody's going to you're not going to have anything but virtual relationships and virtual interactions. And you're going to be trapped with your 3 kids who are coming out of an abusive household. And the only way you can heal them is if you start healing yourself.
Correct.
So get the hell over your shit and figure it out.
Yes.
Now, granted, I'm a lot more stubborn than most. So it took extreme circumstances for me to, want to actually do that.
Hmm.
Um, but like how, when you look at these facts and these numbers and everything that you're putting together, how do you look at that and say, is it COVID or is it just a timing? Is it just because all the escapes are gone, right? Because we couldn't leave the house. We couldn't go, to bars. We couldn't go clubbing. We couldn't go spend time with friends. We couldn't go do all these things that might have been our answer in the past.
I don't think it's a either or, Mike, right? Because the reality is um, our nation that we call great has had these numbers. These numbers have been constant and the same for years. Did they get escalated and heightened in the wake of COVID? Yes. Have they always been there? Yes. Are we a society that is very individualistic and drive to get material things? Yes. Are we a society that has demonstrated that we care about everybody's mental well being,
No,
physical well being?
no.
I think I could argue with data if you want it, because I'm a very data driven person. That is not true for all of the people in the United States. So I think the question would be is how do we not have those numbers? We focus when we have children, for instance, the children who have grown up in the social media age. When you have people that are hinging on, I have this many followers and likes to look at my own, to love themselves, essentially, right? My self love is hinging on the love or the likes or the reactions or the comments that I believe I'm getting from somebody else. I guess the question would be of how do we not get here?
Right.
We've programmed ourselves to believe that some things are what they are when the reality is that's not what it is. But people don't know themselves well enough, what their needs are, what they need to sacrifice for their own mental, physical, psychological health and well-being in order to get to a place that they know them.
So wait, we actually have to know ourselves? Is that really part of this? I don't know what
Yeah.
I signed up for with this conversation. This might actually throw me for a loop. Um,
Yes.
Years of valuing myself. Yeah, I'm messing with the camera. I'm still trying to figure all this out. Leave me alone. Like I'm a mess. I just can't today.
It looks good.
Like I'm just moving it, shifting it, trying to figure it all out. Like this whole new iPhone with a much better picture. Like I look like Casper, I think, so I had to lower the light.
No, I think you look good.
Anyway, like I'll go off on tangents all day. We'll be here for 17 hours, never accomplish a conversation. But um and at some point, who knows? Maybe we'll do the Truman Show about me because that would just be entertaining for the world. See how crazy I am. But I believe, like, I spent so much time believing, like, truly to my core, that my worth is what specific people at that time in my life valued me as.
Yeah.
And I put so much into that. It started in childhood, right? Because I was adopted at birth and then I was abused and I was empathic. Well, I'm still empathic, but I was
Me too.
clairvoyant, right? I'm doing all these things, right? And all I was told is you're not good enough. You're lying. You're this. You're that. Let's go to psychiatrists. Let's go to therapists. Let's go to neurologists. Let's prove you wrong because we're going to go out of our way to do that. I thought that was very nice, by the way. Loved that. Little painful, but that's okay. No sore spot there. Brene, where are you? I feel like, but I carried that forward in my life.
Mhm.
That whole mentality that if somebody doesn't approve of me, then I have no value.
Correct.
And I don't blame my parents because it was generational, right? It's how they were raised. It was how society was then too. Everything's perfect on the outside, shit in shambles in the inside,
Mhm.
right? Like, let's just walk into the shit show. Um, that's what it feels like though. Looking back, it was like, everybody puts this perfect front up, and then,
Yep.
you know, let's see, I was born in '79, so let's say I think the first family to get divorced in my neighborhood was like '84.
Mhm.
And I stayed in that neighborhood for 19 years. So it was a really brand new neighborhood, all around the same age. Everybody had kids. So it was like really that prototypical, leave it to beaver type crap.
Mhm.
And it was, you know, we had diversity though, so that was impressive. So that was good. Like there was diversity. I mean, I was in South Florida, for Christ's sakes. But like it was just very interesting because looking back, I see it so clearly now. And I understand why I valued everybody else's opinion so
Mhm.
highly, right? Society raised us to do that.
Mhm.
Society, culture, and with machismo and all this fun crap, which I'm sure I mispronounced, but like the man has to be this, the woman has to be this, this has to
Yep.
be this. I'm insecure if you don't do this, and if you get a job, then I feel less than. Like all this crap that I remember from my childhood. It's no, I mean, I think I'm lucky. I'm only as messed up as I am. Like, I mean, that's the truth. Um, and we got so far away from things,
Mhm.
like we got so far away from our core. So, how do you bring us back to our core so that we can cure fear?
Mhm.
'Cause I really want to cure fear. That would be cool.
That would be cool too. I think what people need to do, and I tell people this all the time, they have to sit with themselves. Seriously. And you were talking about your depression, you were talking about meds. And then people would say, okay, I'm solution based too, right? We could sit here all day and talk about the problems that people have, but people are saying, well, then how do I change the problem, right? What are the solutions that you want to bring to me? Now, I'm not going to solely disagree with medication. I could say what my personal practice is, and I will choose not to take medication, even as simple as Tylenol or Advil or aspirin. And I think during that time when I was in my state of depression and anxiety, I didn't take any medication. I healed myself to where I am now with natural. And the natural for me was through what truly makes us happy. And then my yoga practice. And my yoga practice obviously comes with the physical practice of asana. And then in addition to that, it comes with meditation. But I think the true indicators was me coming to the meditation and just sitting with myself, all the emotions that I was experiencing, but then also understanding the science of your well-being and what we've been told. That's why I say I will challenge anybody to say there's actually research and studies to say it's a farce and a lie. And the things that will give us true joy in the moment or long lasting joy, whether it's a couple weeks or months out, are very simple practices that people can do. But often people are not doing them or they're not doing them consistently enough to bring them true happiness.
Hmm. So, okay, so my ADHD, like this throws my ADHD for a loop.
Mhm.
Um, if I do the same thing day after day after day after day, for the rest of my life, whether that's 3.5 hours or whether that's 43 years,
Mhm.
um, like I feel like I'll get bored, right?
Okay.
Like to me, it sounds boring, because I got to do 500 things at once. Now, granted, nothing's boring with 3 kids in the middle of nowhere. So my level of boring these days is really enjoyable. I enjoy the boring moments. And you're right though, because over the last few months, as I've been getting further and further into digging deeper and releasing so much crap from my childhood and you know unprogramming or reprogramming or rewiring myself, as I've been doing all those things, like I have been able to sit with myself. And don't get me wrong, it's not always enjoyable. It's just not. Like Saturday, I think it was Saturday, I cried, I think, for 6 hours.
Mhm.
Uh, didn't have my contacts in because those would have floated out of my head. But like it was painful, like after a while because my eyes hurt so bad. But I needed to release and process,
Correct.
right? Like I needed to. It's healthy,
It
I'm
is
not
healthy.
ashamed. I cry on live. I just don't care. Like, I'm just whatever. This is who I am. You don't like it, I
Mm-hmm.
don't care. You can leave. You don't have to watch me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, it's like I look at this and we're raised and we're taught and we're
Mm-hmm.
shown
Correct.
these things are so bad for us. When at the end of the day, they're truly the gifts that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Like releasing and crying is so healthy, and letting this stuff go and getting it out. How do we? So when we talk about fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's take this another level, right? Because fear is all over the place. You can be
Mm-hmm.
scared of breathing. You can be scared of COVID. You can be scared of getting on planes. You can be
Right.
scared of anything, right? Like COVID's going to kill me. I'm not leaving the house unless it feels cool. Go do it. But like, everybody has their limits, right? Everybody has.
Right.
So, like, how do you rationalize fear? Like, how do you say, okay, here's a fear. I'm going to work on overcoming this fear
Mm-hmm.
because I'm still evolving and I'm still transitioning. I'm still growing through shit and transcending, whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm going through all this fun crap. It's a blast, by the way. I encourage everybody to have this fun journey.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of tissues, lots of, just work on it. Pens, papers, just never run out of anything like that. You'll be perfectly fine in this journey. Um, but like, I'm still scared of heights. Like, I don't like getting on a step ladder. I hate step ladders. I hate
Mm-hmm.
heights. I despise them. Now that's also a rational fear, right? Because if I fall from 2 feet off the ground, luckily I'm still pretty symmetrically round, so I'm not going to, get hurt too bad. I'm pretty insulated in lots of ways. But like, that's just another fear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I was scared of myself. I was scared to look at myself. I was scared to be stuck with myself.
Right.
So I see all those things as I've been going through this transition, right? I didn't want to sit in a room. I didn't want to stay home. All my escapism was to never be stuck with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I called it many different things. Oh, I haven't gone out in a while. I need to be around people. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I missed this person. I need to go here. You know, 10,000 days in a row of that, kind of not believable anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh, I need new friends because, I see these ones all the time. So let's get some new ones. Um, you know, give me more reasons to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, for somebody who's in that space that isn't on the ground yet and hasn't been kicked into the ground or hasn't hit that low point, how do they rationalize, figure it out, and start working towards something?
Okay. Well, you talked before about your ADHD, and you were saying, I don't think that I could be doing something consistently. Right. And here's what I would ask people. There's such thing as neuroplasticity. And what one believed, or what we were told to believe years ago, and what has been disproved, is that our brains can change. And the brain that we are given isn't the brain that will be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, because you could always work on changing the neural pathways. The only way that you're going to change those neural pathways, Mike, is consistency of doing something different. So essentially, if you're sitting in fear of whatever it might be, I would say two takeaways. My first takeaway would be, what do you need and what brings you happiness and joy? And I'm serious about that because we as people often forget to fill our buckets up with joy. And what are your blessings? So while maybe you've been given, I'm fearing this, that's fine. That might not want to be one of your strengths, but you have many strengths and you have many things to be grateful and thankful for. So I would say, one, work on those, write them down, concentrate on those. Give me 1 second.
You're
Okay.
good. I'm just
Um,
focused on airline because that's probably my greatest asset.
okay. So focus on the many gifts that you do have, right? I have all these gifts. I am so grateful that I have a computer. I am grateful I have a phone. I am grateful I have an internet. I'm grateful I met you. There's so many things that people overlook on a daily basis. 5 things a day. Even if it's, I'm thinking of 5 things a day, I'm putting those on my phone to just look at when I'm stuck in a rut. I think the next thing would be then to go and analyze why you have that fear. And that's where it comes with sitting with ourselves and reflecting. And if that means you have to type it out, write it out, talk it out, then so be it. But I guess going to the root cause of where that came up from. And I will say, in our society, we are good at putting band-aids on stuff, right? We'll throw a band-aid on it, but yet you're not addressing the main reasons of why and what is happening. So essentially what you have to do is say, hey, where is this fear coming from? And seriously, was there something in your childhood? Because oftentimes it's related to something, but sit with, and you might take weeks and months to even get to the core of where does this fear come from? So when you were a kid, hypothetically speaking, did something happen to you? Or did something happen to somebody else that fell off of a ladder or heights, or you saw a show, or you saw a scary movie, right? Where is it that it's based in? And it might take you time. Do you have the answer, Mike, or you don't know? Okay.
About a ladder, about heights? No. Many other issues in my life? Yes. Heights? No.
Okay. So I would say one, just
life, yes. Like, we could sit here for 6 days and go issue by issue.
Maybe one day we'll do that.
We'll
but
do a marathon. Mike's issue.
Mike's issue marathon.
And that could be like the Odyssey.
So get to the root cause of where did this come from? And then ask the question. I think the one big question is, where does that belief stem from? And is that true? Right? So if my daughter, I'll give you an example. If my daughter, I'm scared of the dark because, okay, and oftentimes kids are scared of the dark because I think a monster is going to come out. Then you talk through, okay, I hear you, right? Because that is the reality in which that person is sitting with. So you can't tell somebody that that's not their reality because it is their reality. So I hear you on that. And also I'll offer you, tell me more. Have you ever seen a monster underneath your bed? No. Have you ever heard of anybody having a monster underneath their bed? No. So do you think that's true? Is that what you're saying meant to be true? And then how is that serving you right now?
That's a good comment.
People have issues with determining root cause. That is true.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the Brene Brown work that I did with the blame, shames, and guilts, like, I mean, it was literally, I think, 6 5-subject notebooks of blame, shames, and guilts. And the first 4 were really not the core ones, right? The first 4 were just like the surface ones.
Right.
And then when I started getting through that and I kept going deeper and
correct,
deeper, it sucked. But as I did it, I was able to start finding the core ones. And it's not like I just check it off the list and it's gone. But at least I'm able to understand it now, right? And then I did triggers, the trauma and trigger therapy with Sherry Lewick, and that helped.
Okay.
I started rewiring my triggers, right? So as triggers came up now I understand how to reframe them and
correct,
then not react as much. But it's interesting, right? Like, why is this so hard? Why aren't we taught this? Oh, then Big Pharma couldn't buy elections. Never mind. Oh, okay, I figured all this out. We're good. I mean, I guess it's all about the money. I mean, I don't know why I pretend it's not. I don't know why I even think it's not. It's really all about money. I'm on
a mission. I'm on a mission. I'll go back to childhood, right? Early childhood. As children, we're taught so many things, all these academics, but yet the kids aren't taught what different feelings are, how to be aware of their feelings, how to emotionally regulate their feelings, how their feelings and their actions from those feelings and their thoughts show up in the world, how to have positive relationships or make good decisions, and how to help the world with your own social awareness. So we don't do that in the schools, right? And corporations and organizations aren't doing this either.
So I'm going to stop for 1 second. We teach kids how to memorize information. We don't really teach them.
Mhm.
Because if school is the way it should be, student should be the teacher, teacher should be the student, because the kids have so much insight and clarity and knowledge that's not jaded yet. We should give them a chance.
Mhm.
That's a different topic. That's another one we can go on for days about. Um, we just got to schedule a series at this point. Um, like a daily series probably, and still have never run out of topic.
Literally, right.
Yeah, I mean 100%. As far as, yeah, you're right. I mean, we don't teach values. We don't want to either, because then if we did, consumerism would die pretty fast, right? You wouldn't need the new iPhone today or tomorrow, because your iPhone 11 or iPhone 10 or XS, any of the ones that you've gotten in the last 2 years would be perfectly fine. Like, you
Right.
wouldn't need to go replace it because the cell phone company says, I'll give it to you for free if you pay $50 a month for 24 months.
Correct.
Well, it's probably more than that actually. But like, I mean, all this stuff, it's like, if you really look at it, it's all about consumerism, isn't it? It's all about driving money.
Mhm.
Wow. That's kind of scary.
Money, power, and the lack of people to critically think and analyze.
Wow, I'm really going to screw the world up with my education platform, aren't I? I'm going to get a whole bunch of critical thinkers out there, and the world's going to change. I don't know.
Yeah. But why are we not? Okay, so then let's go. We have all these adults working in all these organizations, Mike, right? But yet they're still not doing this. At some point, we have to put mental health preventatives forward.
Uh-oh. Where am I? I'm gone still?
No, I can hear you and see you.
Okay, I had a call come in. So apparently when I get a call, it kicks me out of the StreamYard. So we're learning something new every day.
Oh, weird.
I gotta somehow fix that.
Okay.
Oh,
So I would urge any organization to consider this too. Right? At some point, you have to put humanity and the human first, because if it wasn't for those humans doing whatever they're doing, whatever profession it is, whether it's making products, whether it's dealing people, whatever the service is, you don't have the people if those people aren't well.
but if the people were well, they wouldn't work for those organizations. So that's probably not what they want either.
I don't know. I would debate you on that one by saying there's a lot of people who choose to be complacent. I mean, we've seen that in the last year, right? There's a lot of people who choose to be complacent. There's a lot of people who are fearful. Here we go with the fear that what if I leave? I have it okay here. And is the grass going to be greener on the other side? And I tell people, or actually, my husband tells people, the grass is greener where you water it, because that's what it is. Because we're always, oh, it's going to be better over there. Now it's better where, now there's some situations that you can't make it better depending on what situation you're in. But a lot of times, if you fix one yourself, but try to work, with what you have, it might not necessarily be better. So I would say there's a lot of people who are sitting in their fear and they like the normalcy of what's been normal. And we're not creatures of change. We are creatures of habit.
I'm pretty good with change these days.
Me too.
It's kind of like becoming at this point, unfortunately. My habit is change. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's quite insane, actually, how it goes around in circles for me. I feel, and I'm not just pointing at a blank face anymore, because when they used to give me that in rehab, it was always blah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up until a year ago, I still would have pointed that blah every day. Um, I f- I don't think society wants it to change. I don't think that society will support change of this magnitude. I feel like it's going to have to be an individual decision for somebody to take it upon themselves to take that journey for themselves And if enough people take that journey, then society will be forced to change.
Mm, I hear you. I do.
Everybody wants change, but nobody wants to do the work for change.
Yes. I think that is at the core where this work is hard work. It's hard. And it's like this. You've been sober for 15 years, you said, right?
Just about, yeah.
Okay. Congratulations, because that's, huge. But I think that's what people have to look at. They have to look at every day as day one. Every single day I wake up is day one for me to be the person I want to be, for me to be a better person. And it's a lifelong journey until you take your last breath. And if you're not willing to put in the work, I don't know how well it's going to work for you. But I would also say the system is working for the people who intended it to work for them too. Sometimes we create the systems that we want um, to have and to have other people in. What I think, Mike, personally, is it takes courageous people doing what you're doing and doing what I'm doing, sitting with ourselves. And I think we're going to need courageous, vulnerable leaders to also show their vulnerability and their courageousness to help other people in their organizations or their institutions want to change or actually take a step each day or half a step towards making that change for being a better them.
Yeah, we haven't had much example for um not very vulnerable. I feel like, wow, this could just go, like, we could literally talk about this forever because there's so much here.
So much.
I mean, this is just a lot. Like, if you really think about it, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
And the work is not easy. It
No,
is not easy. And it doesn't get easier every day
no.
because the reality is, as I go deeper, it gets more painful, but I have
Mhm.
tools to handle it.
Correct.
Right. So it's like practice. Um, I'm really starting to think that I should change my sobriety date because the more I think about it, yeah, I was clean from alcohol and drugs.
Mhm.
But then I went into other areas of escapism, right? And I went to
Mhm.
all those other ones, right? And I don't need to list them all again because at some point nobody wants to hear me talk about those. But I don't want to talk about them. Everybody else hear it. Like, I'm starting to think that at some point, I never got that free feeling, right?
Mhm.
Until like 6 months ago from doing the work, starting the work,
Mhm.
that personal freedom, that I was okay being me,
Mhm.
no matter what that meant. And I'm wondering if rather than shooting for sobriety or shooting for this major change or shooting for this enormous thing, it's like you said, this one day at a time thing.
Mhm.
What if everybody started getting a self date the day that they found themselves?
That would be awesome.
Instead of sobriety, I have a self date. And that's what I celebrate every year is the day I found myself.
Mhm.
Because to me, it's more important than my birthday. I mean, who cares what my birthday is? I mean, the next most important day is my, you know, like dead on arrival date. It's
Mhm.
over. But like, no more torture. But it's like, the more I think about it, like, if we want to really celebrate, we should celebrate finding ourselves
Mhm.
because it is such a rarity
It
that
is.
we're willing to do that work to find it, but it's empowering and
It's so empowering.
it's inspiring to others.
Well, think about it, Mike. How many people, and I don't need you to name them, but just let's think. How many people, even on this social platform, how many people do you see that are their authentic selves?
100 authentic.
Yeah.
I have 26,000 contacts, a little bit over.
Hmm.
Less than 1%.
Okay. Now
Less than 0.5%, probably.
let's go to 75% of the time authentic.
Maybe 5% at most.
50% of the time authentic.
Maybe 25, 30%.
Okay. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
There's not lots of people showing up as their authentic selves. And I would argue with anybody that you're not showing up as your authentic self because you don't even know your authentic self.
right, right. That's the and that's part of this catch, right? Because you don't even know what you're shooting for.
Right.
And to me, when I think about that, right, I'm an open
Hmm.
book. I'll talk about anything I've been. Like, I don't care. Like,
Right.
not all flattering. Trust me, it's not. A lot of it's, but I mean, I talk about it, right? Because it will help somebody, right?
It
And
will. That's right.
I don't. I'm not who I was. I'm not who I was yesterday, let alone anything else.
Hmm.
Every day is a step in a direction. Sometimes
Correct.
forward, but it's a step. Um, like everybody has something they're hiding.
Hmm.
Everybody has something that they're scared of,
Right.
that they've done. And I'm just at a point in my life where, for the first time ever, I truly don't care what anyone thinks anymore.
Hmm.
I just don't care. I'm out here trying to reach one person a day to make an impact and inspire them to find their own inspiration.
Hmm.
I don't want to inspire people. I want to inspire people to find their own inspiration.
Right.
I want to find people to empower themselves. Like, I don't care about the metrics. I don't care about the vanity. I don't care about any of that crap.
Right.
I've been on this platform since 2006. If I wanted 1 million followers, I could have it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I want the ones that matter. I want the ones that matter to me. I want the ones that I can make a real bond with.
Hmm.
I can build something with. And, it makes me want to go delete 10,000 of my contacts. But, like, I mean, unfortunately it does. But, like, I really think about it, and everybody's trying to keep up, and everybody's trying to get ahead, and everybody's trying to. Who are you trying to do this to? Because all you're doing is losing yourself in the process.
Yes. That's
So,
what I learned.
so, holy shit. We definitely have to continue having this conversation. I know Kelly got thrown off StreamYard, but I'm going to introduce you guys because I think you need your own show. And she'll produce. I'm, I'm 100% serious. You
Oh,
know, because this needs to be spoken about. And I'm in anytime you want. Anytime you want, I will talk to you about this. And I'll be the guinea pig because I just don't care.
it's just so important. I get sad because I'm an empath like you.
Mhm.
And I know there's going to be a ton of people that are going to leave this earth never getting to their truest self actualization of their self. Um, and I also would urge every adult to just look at children. A lot of times children come into this earth as their pure selves,
Mhm.
and then they're morphed into right. We morph them essentially into a self that we've created. It's not who they are. They're trying to fit in these boxes, but who gave me a box? Like, why do I have to sit here in a box of what should be, or you should play this game, or you have to play by this rule, or you have to, who made that? I don't have to play by any rule because maybe you're not the person from me for me then. If I can't be my authentic self, or if you don't like it, that's fine. You're entitled to that, but you don't have to be connected, and you don't have to be friends with me either. There's choices. So, I gave that up a long time ago just because you lose pieces of yourself. I was losing pieces of my soul trying to appease everybody else where I'm sitting here uncomfortable constantly. I said, that's no way to live either. So I'm going to stand in myself and what makes me happy and what I need for my own self care, what I need for my physical needs, what I need psychologically to be well. And especially during this time, I keep telling people we are in the middle of a mental marathon. Literally, that's what it is. And if people do not have their mind right, everything else falls apart. And that's why I say the continuous habit, the sitting with yourself, the looking internally at all the things that you appreciate. Because when you die, guess what? Nobody's going to say that Mike, he had a beautiful house, a nice car, and he had this title. They're going to talk about your character and
Getting a
how you,
hairline. I'm telling you, that's what it's going to be.
okay, amazing hairline, your beautiful eyes, and how you made people feel.
All about the hairline.
You know?
Okay, so here's what we're going to do, right? You have a 1 o'clock, so we got to go.
Mhm.
Me and you are going to do a show. We're going to do a series. I'm not kidding. This is what I launched my series, Nancy Barrows Sunday. I'm going to be doing one with Jared Cap, Jarvis Tucker Cap. I call him Cap now. I'm going to be doing starting soon. There's a couple other people that I'm starting shows with, and filter myself out of the show because these conversations need to happen.
Mhm.
And I have no problem being the guinea pig because I just don't care. I'm a masochist. I'm good. Let's bring it on. People care. I have nothing to hide. It just, I am who I am, and I don't
Mhm.
good with that today.
Yep.
I make so many mistakes, but I'm okay with it because I own it.
Mhm.
I work on fixing it, and that's just who I am, and I'm okay with that. What is future of cell? Just so that SEL, in case it's something.
Oh, okay. So the future of SEL is SEL, and SEL is short for social emotional learning. So basically, I am the founder and CEO of the Future of SEL. And what I do is this, right? I work with people, organizations, institutions in regards to implementing um, systems within themselves or in regards to having an equitable lens and implementing and going on the journey through social emotional learning. Is that implementing it in your organization? Is it implementing it into an institution? There's many different facets in which that covers, but that's what it is, because I'm passionate about people need to go on a journey and they need to understand all that is going on in our nation, and that change begins with themselves and then educating and getting skills to just be well.
Future, I just thought of 20 more people I have to introduce you to. Because I haven't done that enough yet. And then also, we're going to do a show together. We are. And we'll keep it going until you're sick of me, and then you can replace me. I want to get you used to doing it, and then I want you hosting it, and I want you running with this, and I will support it to no end because you have to get it out there. It has to be discussed, and I am the perfect sacrificial lamb. Um, Thank you so much for dealing with us, or me specifically. And Future has to go. She has another appointment, and you will be seeing more of this soon, I promise. And Future, please text me later when you can.
Okay. So here's what I want to tell everybody in the audience. Thank you for listening. Whether it's good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you. And I just want to tell everybody just to remember to stay healthy, be mindful, and stay positive, because we are in the middle of a mental marathon. And if there's anything that you need, please follow. Direct message me. Mike will tell you I'm usually pretty good at being very personalized and answering your questions, or just trying to help you with positivity and keep on going, because that's what we need to do. We all have a purpose.
Yes, 100%. And thank you, everyone. I appreciate you. I'm waiting for Kelly to hit end, but Kelly's not here. So um, so world, thank you very much. Future, I appreciate you dearly. And bye, everyone.